Good morning to all our delegates. The session is on future leaders. We call it the NextGen leaders. And this is synonymous with our title, NextGen Chemicals and Petrochemicals Summit 2022. The topic that we have chosen today is future leaders or NextGen leaders managing sustainable growth. Let me introduce you to our speakers. We have Jashan Bhumkar, Director, Saujanya Color Private Limited. A brief about Jashan. The best thing about Jashan Bhumkar and Mihir Shah, Director, Vipul Organics Limited is, one, Jashan is focusing on international in a big way, whereas Mihir is focusing national in a big way. So we are going to have both a national perspective as well as international perspective from both the gentlemen. Let me give you a brief about Jashan and then about Mihir. Jashan is a third generation entrepreneur. So right from his grandfather to mother and now him, he's leading the entrepreneur flame in the company and has led the diversification of Saujanya color into high performance color for different applications, including personal care, cosmetics, printing inks, composite materials, automotives, etc. Jashan's work is instrumental in making Saujanya the first color company in India to enter into a automotive composite industry as color supplier. He has set up a subsidiary in Mexico and is in the process of establishing a manufacturing unit. So most often you will find him in Mexico rather than India. He has set up a new vertical in the pharmaceutical space also by the name Saujanya Life Sciences, focused on making chemical intermediates and APIs for critical drugs. So my question to him would be on this Mexico subsidiary and Saujanya Life Sciences, which is an extension of Saujanya Color. We have another smart person here, Mr. Mihir Shah. He is the director of Vipul Organics Limited. He looks after the operation of the pigment business and he heads the India business. He is responsible for corporate strategy and new business opportunities. He is committed to creating a strong, completely integrated pigment operation that is self-sustainable and provide value to Vipul Organics customers globally. The business, which had, say, 95% exports earlier, has a sizable domestic client, and this client is growing at 40 to 50% year on year. So with this background, let's also talk about the talking points for today's discussion. The first is on disruptive ideas, shifting strategies, adopting collaborative approach, creating a system to work with multidisciplinary team, adopting innovative technology, customer centricity, and making India Atmanirbhar. With this background, let me now open it up for the panel discussion. And I would request Jashan, if he can talk about his international journey and his life sciences journey, and then we move to the next part. So over to Mr. Jashan Bhumkar.
Yeah, so firstly, namaste everyone and hello. Thank you for the kind introduction, Praveen, and delighted to be here amongst talking to all of you. I'll take a step back and go to where this whole thought process of expansion into different geographies and also different industries came about. So I'll talk about in general where we were at a few years back. Saujanya, of course, Saujanya Color, our parent company. It was started by my grandfather. We're 40 years old and we've been in this very niche business of pigment dispersions. So we make liquid preparations of pigments and now of some dyes as well. And for most of these, out of the 40 years, for most of the 30 years, we were only in the paint industry and most of our business was only in India and if at all the Indian subcontinent. We at some point of time, I'm personally in the business since 7 years, actively involved, and I've officially joined the business since the last 7 years. At one point, those many years back, we sat down and said that, okay, we are in the color space and color is everywhere. So why are we restricting just to one geography and one industry? Why are we restricting only to India and paints? And at that time, India was growing very well, and Indian paint industry, it is still booming, and at that time also it was a very healthy growth. But we sat and when we are talking about sustainable growth, that's one that's of course a very beautiful topic, but the way we thought about it was more as a survival strategy than a growth strategy. We said that all our eggs are in one basket, so we must put it in very different places, and that is how this journey of expansion started. Now, a lot of people have lauded us for the whole subsidiary in Mexico and said that it's a very bold move and things like that. Actually, it was a very conservative and practical decision from our side. Mexico is very far away. The shipments take 3 to 4 months to reach, and of course, in COVID times, it's been even more horrifying. It's been like taking 5 or 6 months to reach. Freight costs have also increased a lot, and the time difference is there. The language barrier is also there a lot. Though they are culturally very similar, Latin Americans and Indians are culturally very similar. Um, Even in the center of downtown Mexico City, you will not find too many people very fluent in English. So that's always a problem. So we were finding it very hard um, to manage that whole region from here, from the distance. And while the opportunities there were rife, they were very lucrative and very inviting opportunities. The market was waiting for reliable color and suppliers to give them consistent colors there. So that was the thought behind international expansion. I explained previously the thought behind diversifying to different industries. It was more of a survival strategy, and then we said that okay, we are so passionate about color, and color is everywhere. About the life sciences part, what we in the pandemic was an eye opener for everybody. Everybody had their own set of challenges. So while navigating those, we realizes that okay, let us take a step back and make a distinction between our expertise, which is color. Today we can make color solutions for anything and everything pretty much at a very consistent level. That gets us very excited. We love doing that. But over while doing that, what is it that we have really built? For example, if there is Sachin Tendulkar and somebody else from some other field and somebody else from Pandit Bhimsen Joshi from classical music or whatever, so what is common between all of them is hard work. So we thought of it in a very deeper and philosophical way, that what is it that really we have learned over these years, and we realized that we've actually learned how to manage complex chemical setups, handle complex chemical supply chain. You give us a big chemical plant with all the challenges, we actually get thrilled and excited, and we feel that okay, not many people can handle it at this scale with all the EHS compliances, regulations, everything. Give it to us, we'll do it very happily. So even managing B2B clients, all our customers are top Indian paint companies, top personal care brands across the world now. Fortunately, we have made good breakthroughs there also. So we are very used to MNCs, very large clientele, their needs, tuning into their needs and everything. So we said that let us leverage this expertise, and right now we are making color which is really good. It makes it's aesthetically pleasing. At times it can also give a protective function, but how more and better can we impact lives? And that's the main motivation. All this distilled into starting a life sciences venture to really get more and more close to impacting lives in a more profound way in terms of doing something related to health and food and things like that. So that's why we are developing now APIs for pharma. We've actually commercialized an anti-diabetic API already as I'm talking, and we've also started developing a few agrochemical molecules, and then a lot more APIs are in the pipeline. So yeah, this has been the thought process. There is a long road ahead, and I'm sure it's not going to be easy, but we are ready to take it on, and this is the underlying thought process which we hope to carry forward.
Thanks, Jashan, for your initial remarks. Now I move to Mihir. Mihir, how easy or how difficult was the journey? Because initially the company was focusing on exports, and you took a challenge of focusing on domestic. So how easy or difficult was the journey, and what contribution or what made you succeed in selling your products in India? Over to Mr. Mihir Shah.
See, thank you. See, first of all, I would like to give a short brief that even I'm a third generation entrepreneur in the company, and we started in 1960.
That's a coincidence.
Yes.
That you both are a third generation entrepreneur.
Yes, and my grandfather started too, like Jashan's grandfather.
Yes.
So we have that in common.
Absolutely.
And so in the 1960s, we had started with pigment intermediates, which is known as naphthols, basically. So there were two companies predominantly that used to make naphthols back in 1960s. It was Vipul and Atul. Okay. Then from there, gradually we did a lot of diversification and we got into pigments in early 2000. Initially, the focus was only into exports. The reason being, first, our capacities were also not that significantly very high in 1960s. So whatever we used to make, it used to easily get sold off in the international markets. Gradually, as we expanded into newer products and diversification in our product profile, I joined the business 8 years back. So when I joined, the domestic market was absolutely zero. So, but then we knew consciously that India is going to be the growth story. So we were already present in 45 countries into exports. So the intention was to create a good network chain in India. So that's when I had taken the responsibility of creating this, and we have been successful in doing so. I mean, year on year, because for us it was very frankly a blank slate, right? 8 years back. So the growth it looks easier, and in terms of numbers it looks big, but there's a long road ahead. In terms of sustainable growth, see, as a company, what we have done is, I take pride in this, that when nobody got into, say, things like zero liquid discharge and stuff, we were one of the first in the pigment industry who set up one of the largest zero liquid discharge plant in our state of Maharashtra. We have total 3 plants right now. One of our plants is in Palghar. So Palghar is like a, it's like a just big district now, and we are the only chemical plant running since 1972 there. So when we talk of sustainable growth, consciously Vipul Organics has been very instrumental in in investing in the effluent treatment plants and be self-sustainable. So most of our plants operation are on zero liquid discharge, and we are incurring a huge operating cost. But then down the line, I would really want that there should be a level playing field for all people operating in the color industry, so that there is no feeling of missing out. Right now, what happens is that if, say, company A does not have, say, zero liquid discharge, so that extra cost is not borne by that company, right, on the product. And if I am doing it, there's always for a customer, he will say, okay, very good, you are doing zero liquid discharge, but then ultimately it comes down to the cost. Correct. So if everybody is on the playing field, then I think sustainable growth is going to boost more, and then everybody will want to invest in that kind of facility. I think everybody wants to take care of their own ETP plant, but when it comes to the cost, to avoid that factor, I think if there is a US FDA approved system in pharmaceutical, there is a US FDA approval, right? So all the industries operate at the same regulatory platform, so they incur the same cost. They have the same operating. The SOPs are same. So if something like that happens in our industry, I think sustainable growth can be achieved. And I think we should learn from China also, that earlier they were operating in the similar situation, but now the entire Chinese manufacturing in our space has been disrupted because of this. So they realize that there is something known as environmental impact also very late. So now, everybody, in order to have this sustainable growth, we should boost and we should try to promote something where all the industries are on a similar platform.
Thank you, Bipul. Thank you, Mehir. So you have known the first point we have taken care, which was disruptive idea and shifting strategies, and both of them are doing pretty well. One on the domestic front, the second is planning to do an expansion in Mexico, and also looking at expansion on the life sciences part. Now, in order to, what we can say, further consolidate these two or three strategies that both of them talked about, I'm trying to see how we can do a collaborative approach so that they can further cement these relationships. So my question to Jashan would be that what kind of collaborative approach you are taking to see that the factory comes up as early as possible in Mexico, plus all the nitty-gritties are being taken care, the local regulations is being taken care, the capacity is being finalized at the earliest, the pollution control board clearances are given on time, and you start the marketing and sales on time so that you are able to create a niche in that region or the entire Latin American region for Saujanya to make a mark, which is presently not there. You are presently focused more on India and also on the export market. But as you said, because of the time delay of 6 months, you thought of setting up a factory there.
So Praveen, let me answer that in very brief, but I want to talk about some other wonderful examples of collaborative approach, which are more relevant than just us setting up our own plant in Mexico. I think one of the best examples of collaborative approaches is sitting here between me and Mihir being on the same panel, and we've done wonderful work together in the last few years. So I'll get to more. Setting up the plant in Mexico, of course, it is a collaboration of many parties that are there, especially because we're unfamiliar with the local ecosystem. Of course, we have a local team there, but we have collaborated with really good consultants there who are helping us with the ecosystem. That's going smoothly, obviously, and we're our team here in India, the core team is so wonderful that when they take up on their mind to do something in a certain point of time, and I think we'll talk about people and the human resources part later on how that contributes to sustainable growth. So I'll not dwell much on it now. But the main thing is that if a bunch of people come together and all decide that this is where we want to go to the same place, and we want to make this happen by this certain time, there's no way that it's going to not happen. So that is what I'll say about the Mexico plant's collaborative approach. But as such also, while we are doing so many new things, and by the way, I'd also like to highlight here that we are so excited about the Mexico plant, but that's not the only thing. That's like one of the 20 things that is going on right now. So I would love to talk about the other things also on this forum and platform. In terms of a collaborative approach, the main thing that we have done is a cultural change and a mindset change. Being in the Indian chemical industry, particularly the paint industry, for 40 years, we have very long-standing relations with everybody. Like Mihir was mentioning that my grandfather and his grandfather started around the same time. We have, even today, people come up to me at many events and forums such as this one and very fondly remember my grandfather. They have interacted with my mother, who is the managing director of our company. So those relations are very strong, and we are so assured that that ecosystem will always be with us. But in terms of business collaboration, our approach was a bit more traditional going forward, where we thought that all the onus of development is on us, and we will ask exactly what we want from our suppliers, and they should provide that to us exactly. And if it's not like that, then it's probably not going to work out. At some point of time, we started changing our mindset and having very open ears, saying and developing a lot more respect for our suppliers, saying that okay, like we are experts in our field, they are also experts in their field, and maybe they have something better for us than what we know. So let's keep our eyes and ears open, and let's see what they have to offer, and let's genuinely put in the time, resources to evaluate what it is that they are sharing with us. So by open information exchange with suppliers, and like I said, that put your mind to it and get it done. So we started doing a lot of that with our vendors, and suppliers started looking at more of it as a partnership. Even Mihir will attest to that maybe the experience of working with us 10 years ago versus now is vastly different. The kind of ideas exchange, the kind of development of projects, and our business together is also growing 2x, 3x every year. And I think that ties in with our theme of sustainable growth, because you cannot just grow by yourself. You have to, if everybody is growing together, even like how Mihir was saying earlier, that if everybody is following EHS norms together, if everybody is doing the best for themselves and for each other, then that is really a great collaboration, and that's the only way to grow sustainably.
Thank you, Jashan. Now I come to Mihir and would request him if he can talk about how is he adopting collaborative approach in the existing system or in the new SBU that he has taken care, or he has taken charge.
See, I'll tell you, Jashan rightly pointed out that when, collaborative approach has to be from both the sides. It cannot, both the sides need to be equally involved and equally open to each other's ideas, right? Jashan rightly pointed out that, suppliers are equally important in today's time, as important as the customer is, right? Both go hand in hand. To give you an example, like with Saujanya, we knew each other's company since many years, right? Many decades. But somehow the business, whatever has happened, it just started 2 years back. And in the first year itself, we, in terms of US dollars, we almost did 1 million, close to 1 million US dollars. Right. So that, that was possible. That immediate thing was because of the collaborative approach that we took. It's not a buyer and seller's relationship.
Not at all.
When we work with this mindset, we really don't look at the cost after a point. What matters is we take into account what they need, what their concerns are. And if it's rightly addressed, the growth is going to happen automatically. It's going to be by default, it is going to happen. So that mindset, which with our experience with Saujanya, is that we were very happy, and we put in a lot of efforts to do, because there was a reciprocation from their side also. And it's not always in terms of the orders or something. It's, the way they give the feedback on the products, the approval takes place. The business may come after 2 years, 3 years, we are okay, as long as we know we are going in that direction. Right. So this is missing. I would like to say it's missing with a lot of big companies in our space. They have a very close mindset. Okay, I'm the biggest paint company, for example, in India, and I know it all. Right. So that actually is not true. There are a lot of things that they are not aware about, which we know as as an expert in our own field, like they are experts in their own field. So if that mindset changes, then I think it's going to be win-win situation for both of them, for both of us, right? So immediate thing is the mindset change for a collaborative approach. Second thing is that you forget about short-term gains. Whenever you are thinking of collaborative, forget about short-term thing and focus on the long-term, right? And see, one very classic example I'll give you, REACH registration, REACH in order to export to Europe, you need to have REACH registration on every chemical that you are dealing with, right? Now, in China, there are few 2-3 top companies who have done REACH registration on their pigments, right? And all the medium scale or small scale companies, they take the code of those big companies and then they easily export. So there was no constraint or this stress that we cannot export outside China if we don't have REACH, right? So they have an excellent collaborative approach within them. When you talk of their harmony, Chinese are very, very well, they are close to each other, right? Whereas in India, things for a REACH registration product cost is almost 60-70 lakhs a product, a pigment. right? So no small scale industry or even a mid scale industry can do multiple product registration because it has a huge cost. So if we have some collaboration like what Chinese did, that we can really export our boost our export market also to countries like Europe, which are very, very regulated. And nowadays, every country is coming out with their own reach. Like Turkey is coming out with the Turkish reach. Europe is something now with the Brexit things. We don't know. We are still waiting and watching. Also, another classic example, years back, Siba, Geigy, they all had distributed the product profile also with each other that, okay, you are a giant, you make ABC product, I will make EFG products. And together, they are experts in that product line. So the market is also open, it's divided between them, and they're not pulling each other's leg. Wherever there is healthy competition, it's good. But in right now, for few rupees here and there, a lot of bigger aspects of this of these relationships are ignored at times. So to give you another classical example, recently there is an anti-dumping duty in China on the phthalocyanine pigments, that is a blue and the greens, right? Now Indians used to export a lot of blue and greens into China, and they had this thing that in a one container 20 tons, in one order they are selling 20 tons, 25 tons. So always they used to neglect the Indian buyers up to a certain extent, or have this thing that this is my price, if you want to buy, you buy, right? Within 2 weeks after this ban 25, the entire perception, the mindset, everything has changed. We get calls that, oh, we have such a old relationship, now let's do business together, right? So then we understand, when you are at your low and who is supporting you, you will always, whenever the market keeps going up and down, right? So you always remember that you will cater to not the opportunistic buyers or sellers, but someone who has been with you in your down, been with you in your collaboration, been with you during the product cycle. So I think that is very, very critical, that no matter how big you are, no matter how small you are, if you have that mindset that, okay, we can work collaborative together, I think it's going to be amazing for this industry.
Thank you for illustrating a lot of examples to showcase how collaboration has been done. And I think these are very good examples to learn from. Moving ahead, I'm posing the third part of the question to Mihir, and I would request him. During COVID, it would have been extremely difficult to work with a multidisciplinary team sitting all outside or all working from home in different locations. So how easy or difficult it was, and how easy or difficult it is in a physical environment where everybody is sitting in one office and you do the multidisciplinary, you coordinate with multidisciplinary team for your company. So if you can give both offline and online example, that will solve our purpose.
See, now in pigments, we cater to a lot of industries, right? We cater to the plastic, paint, printing ink, master batches, the newer industries which even our customers get into, like Saujanya. We were not very this about the cosmetic industry. We got acquainted because of their application, right? So when you have so many applications, you need a multidisciplinary experts, right? You need somebody from the paint, somebody from the printing ink segment, somebody from plastic. So in a way, earlier we did not have this. It was like, one person going out and selling to paint industry and pigment industry, the plastic industry. But now we have realized that pigment is not like, brochure selling. It's a technical sales, correct? So you need to have knowledge of the application first, and then a bit of a commercial sense to go out and pitch the product. Now, what we have also done is we have segregated our team in such a way that we have some experts in the paint, some in master batches, some in printing ink, some into textiles also. So these are the people in the sales team. Then we also have a multidisciplinary team in the technical side. Like in the factory, we have somebody who's handling the inks, somebody who handling the paint. And now, the most beautiful part of our industry is that every day I learn, every day I keep learning. I didn't know something yesterday, which I know today. So because of this team, this exchange of ideas take place. We are in the business of colors, right? So there is a lot of formula every day. I think it's like a medical science. I keep telling my team also that pigment is like a medical science. No single batch can be same as the earlier batch. There's always some differences, right? So when you have these team of experts, which in the factory and even outside on field, we get a lot of insights of the industry. And with the kind of technology that we have adopted, I think we feel much more at ease while talking to the customer, because we know what we are talking of. We have the experts from that field. Even in the application side, we have invested very heavily on setting up a different R&D center for only plastic lab. Okay, in Tarapur, one of our sites, we have a different setup for printing ink now. We have a different setup for the paint. So learning from each industry, learning from every personnel who's on the field, really it comes down to improving that particular product, because a single product also goes in 3 different applications with slight tweaking, right? So when we have this market intelligence from different people, different customers, I think things are much easier.
Thank you, Mihir. Jashan, if you can talk about how do you create a system to work with multidisciplinary team?
I think I cannot stress enough the importance of creating the system, because everybody talks about multidisciplinary teams, and we have learned also seen many benefits of putting people of different skill sets together. Obviously, this is undoubted. In the real world, you see there are a lot of management studies also done on this. But we've also burnt our fingers and learned the hard way what happens when you put a bunch of very varied skill sets together without common values. So I think the most important system that we have put now, and this we have really learned the hard way. When I say it, I really mean it, that we have learned it the hard way. Is that we now hire only for cultural fit and values. Earlier, it was very tempting to see somebody's resume and see the experience and hire for qualification or skill set. Oh, if you're getting into printing ink segment, we need a printing ink expert. We are getting into cosmetic segment. Wow, we need the best person in cosmetics on board. It doesn't really work out that way. Sometimes it does. And if it does, then you're incredibly lucky. And we have been in some instances. In other instances, it's been an absolute disaster. What we have realized is that one of the main strengths of our company is the very strong culture, the common values, and just a Saujanyaness that we have. Now, I cannot pinpoint it into words, but if you interact with me, if you interact with all our team members, if you hear my mother speak about some of the things, a lot of things that we will say will be very, very similar. I'll tell you something crazy that happens in our office. When we have a really big meeting, somehow we all come dressed in the same color. That's how in sync and all aligned in the mind and heart we are. And that's something which has only grown and grown on me in terms of its importance over time. So like I said earlier, we would hire for skill set and everything. Now, the main thing that we see is cultural fit. And if that is there, then people shape up very, very incredibly. So there are some people who we hired. The profile was not very obvious for a company, say, which has ambitious global plans like us. But you will not believe somebody who has studied, say, in a Marathi medium school, not even in Mumbai, in like some interior parts of Maharashtra. Their father was probably in the army, or was probably a farmer, or was a local police officer or something. They are the first engineer in their family. They worked incredibly hard, moved to Mumbai with dreams, can speak broken English. They have joined us. But the heart, the attitude, the commitment is irreplicable. And now today, say after 5 years or 6 years with us, the person can not only write flawless emails in English, can not only communicate with you very passionately, he would give a sales pitch probably even better than me. I really feel that some of them do a better job than me at all the sales pitches. And now can has learned Spanish and French because we need to deal with Latin American customers. So on their own, they have learned Spanish. Now they have Spanish video calls and WhatsApp messages with customers. So what more do you want when you have a team like that? People who have been with us for uh, and now our criteria when hiring somebody is that somebody who has been with us for 25 years, somebody who has worked with my grandfather and my mother and is working alongside with me, should feel the same as somebody we hired 1 year ago. I'm very lucky that in our current team, with a lot of ins and outs and spokes here and there, we have finally got it together. And now you will literally not be able to tell the difference between somebody who joined us 6 months ago versus somebody who's been with us for 25 years. So that's the only system we put, learned by trial and error, and gone only by culture and by the cultural and values fit. I'll just extend this point a little more. I know I'm taking a little bit more time, but give me 2 more minutes. Is that the people then step up in terms of technical skills also. This is what I have seen. Somebody who was with us for, like I said, 20 years, 25 years, who was a paint expert all their lives, is now an expert in printing inks, undoubtedly, because they have learned, they have done courses, they have spent their own out of office hours, they have spent sleepless nights studying that space. Somebody who was dealing with coatings moved into industrial coatings, moved into seed coatings, and now because they it was all in the coating space, but now because they're dealing with seeds, they are seed coatings, they're dealing with agro customers. So obviously when we developed some crop nutrients which have nothing to do with color, it was obvious for that person to get trained, and he was absolutely delighted to take on that additional responsibility. He asked for it, he went out of his way, he has gone to some fields in rural Maharashtra, sprayed those things and seen the results all by themselves. This is not at all dictated by me or the management or none of that. These are initiatives which people take themselves if you really give them that chance to grow. At the same time, you do need skill sets. Like in the pharma venture, life sciences venture, it's completely a blank territory. So that is where it was completely different, and completely there was no way somebody, unless they are completely changing the track, would get into that. So there where it was needed, we did get people from outside, but there also we've really hired based on cultural fit and value fit, rather than just getting tempted to hire by profile and what's an experience and very tangible markers like that.
I come to the next question, which is to Jashan, which is adopting innovative technology. Because innovative or the latest technology do not come cheap. And so what is your opinion with respect to that? And how does it benefit, or how does it adds an advantage to you, or how does it give an edge to you in the sector or in the industry?
I think as an industry, especially the Indian chemical industry, we are much better off than we were a few years ago. But if you look at as collectively as an industry, the average R&D spending versus a lot of what European and American companies doing, it's deplorably low. So I think that's something where we can all do better, much better. We are not doing our best, and the kind of profits that we attribute to R&D they still need to grow. That said, the benefits are very, very of an R&D focus are they're quite obvious, because in fact nowadays innovation is not a differentiator, it's an essential for survival, because that's the only way you can quickly turn around things, respond to customer needs, and keep up with market trends, and also if you're lucky, you get to set a market trend through that. So it's important. And there also what the way we approach it is that we have most of our resources put into innovation related to our core, but then we also do some things at the periphery, and then we have developed over time a way and an honesty basically to see that if something is at the core, does it need to stay there? And mostly yes, because your core is your core for a reason. But if there's something at the periphery, then at what point should it be brought into the core, like we did with personal care and cosmetics? At what point of time should it be kept on hold? There are some things that we started that we said that, okay, maybe now is not the right time, so let's put it on hold. Then there are some things which we tried and we saw that it was not working. So maybe in the past we would have, because it's, I mean, we would have spent a year or two more just trying, and now we've developed the wisdom to say that, okay, this is really, let's be practical here, though we are emotionally invested in this project. It's not going to see the light of the day. Let's drop it quickly and let's fail fast. So that's something that in terms of R&D and innovation, the whole pipeline, the way it is managed, that's our approach on it. And of course, the benefits are obvious. But again, I'll reiterate myself that we at Saujanya also are committed to doing better, and we all as an industry also really need to do a lot better in terms of that aspect.
Mihir, the same question to you with respect to innovative technology, and as you rightly said in your initial liquid discharge, when you are setting up a factory, and if you are going for a new one or innovative one,
all the fields, be it pharma, be it chemicals, be it pigments, it has always been that that we have been excellent. I mean, in terms of generic pharma industry, also you look at India is the largest generic player. So we are very good at that. But when we talk efforts in spending our resources in real R&D, and not just I mean, 10 years back, we had invest in instruments that there is a pigment can. We invested in this particular equipment, few years back, and we had absolutely no significant. I'm spending 100 rupees. When will I earn 100 rupees back? It was an investment made keeping future in mind. Developing products for the plastic. I think spending in innovation in your product line 100% pays off sooner or later. It will pay you the average, which are like a box dryer. China, there are companies who produce 500 tons per month. Okay. Now going with that box dryer concept, in India, you cannot survive, or even in Chinese, they cannot remove 500 tons per month by just that cabinet dryer. It's impossible to keep loading, unloading the material. You will have to have more than 200 dryers to remove 500 tons of material. So what they do is they have a like a train compartment. They have a cabinet drying system. So there are different compartments. You go with, say, highest 150 degrees to 70 degrees temperature. It's called continuous dryer. Now, this technology was not there with most of the Indian pigment companies, right? So we were amongst the second or the third company who got this technology to India. We did a tech transfer from there. A Chinese was at our plant for nearly 2 months to install this equipment, and now we get nearly 250 kgs per hour from that one machine, right? So again, this innovation, we thought little different, nothing major. I would say the investment also was not significantly high, but open, and we were, we wanted to adapt to newer things which no traditional Indian companies were doing. In India also, when you talk of chemists, they have worked with XYZ company, they will come here, whatever past experience they will have, they will bring on the table, but they are not open to newer ideas or open to newer technology. They have this resistance that, it may not work, aisa nahi hota, kabhi dekha nahi hai. But yeah, this has to change, this mindset has to change. So yeah, spending in applications is definitely a must for our industry. Spending in newer production technologies, the pigment that used to get manufactured in 1960s still gets manufactured in the same way right now. So that has to change, right? Spending on newer products. As a company, we have taken this efforts that we want to venture into high performance pigments in a very big way, right? So we want to reduce the dependence from the German companies who are still leading this particular space of high performance pigments that are for automobile industry mainly. So we have taken efforts in in getting those technology and making it in-house, right? So we think global, but we act local. And even, I would say that, even the West is now trusting a lot of Indian suppliers for giving a similar quality. They want to shift their entire base to India for manufacturing, right? They need a reliable partner. So Jashan very rightly pointed out that the culture of people, the trust factor, and the technology. I think these three are the most essential combination for driving any business in today's time.
Thank you, Meher. Jashan, I'm posing the same set of question to you, which is adopting innovative technology as you are embarking on new SBUs. So how easy or difficult it is in terms of choice, because innovative or new technologies will definitely have a higher price vis-a-vis the existing one. So how easy or difficult as a manager or as a future leader you will be able to do justice to this?
So the cost angle definitely complicates the matter. But that said, it also pushes us and pushes forces us to push our boundaries. Like I spoke about our core business, which is in the paint space and printing ink space, where we are giving pigment dispersions. That space has become increasingly cost conscious. And earlier we could put our hands up and say that, oh, hey, this is a very we are not in this low end segment, we are not in this no quality segment, we are Saujanya, we only are into this very quality thing where we are valued. Now that those lines have become very blurred, because even the largest players want lower cost and cost control, and they want the same quality. So we have really been pushed to our boundaries and understand the same materials that we've been working with for 40 years, like pigments and surfactants, how we can combine them and rethink that combination in a different way. And that always doesn't mean substituting with a cheaper pigment. No, sometimes we've used a more expensive per kg pigment, but we've treated it, processed it in a different way, formulated it in a different way to get a better performance. So that's where one area where we are moving more and more towards cost competitiveness and becoming the best cost player in an existing field. We've been pushed that way to reformulate and look at a process in way, and we found so many things. I think I gave you one interview, Pravinji, where I mentioned that at one point we were forced to, and it's not something that we were so brilliant that we said that, oh, let's look at everything. Literally, it was like, okay, what to do now? We still need to reduce costs. Arey, kaise karenge? So then we were forced to look into small details. What we realized is that, arey, there's a machine, uska tip ka shape and the speed at which that tip is rotating also affects the tinting strength and tones and undertones of the dispersion. So this is the level of detail we went to in existing products, where we had no option, and the cost was really coming up to the brim. In other industries like cosmetics and everything, luckily, at least now, when we are disrupting the space, that's not so much of an issue. Nobody's running behind us to negotiate on every penny and price. There the concerns are very different. The concerns are more on safety and things like that. Safety, toxicity, so many things that we take for granted are absolutely banned in that industry, because it's all human contact, skin contact, and sometimes even like toothpaste and also is inside goes inside the body. So those concerns are very different, and then the innovation for that has to be with a very different angle, that we need to see. We are used to color performing a certain way, and when we are going as a disruptive player and innovative player, saying that, okay, we are going to take care of all your color needs. Right now you're spending 4-5 hours on every batch matching the shade. You don't have to do that. We'll give you consistent color which you can dose. When we are making those claims and promises to have that performance with those ingredients that are safe, easy to use, sometimes vegetable source, plant-based resins, biodegradable pigments, all of these are very new materials for us, and getting the same performance out of them is something that has been definitely challenging, but we are working on it. We do a lot of things. Sometimes I mean, when it's to do with color, we take a lot of the onus on ourselves, but of late we've also been collaborating outside, whether it's through consultants or like collaborative projects with academia or startups. There are some startups which have spun out of IITs or my alma maters in UK and US. So we've been discussing with them and having open dialogue with them also. So we've also opened our horizons, and we don't also put the entire onus on ourselves. We're open to getting ideas also from everywhere if it helps the direction that we are going to go.
So now I come to the customer centricity part of it. Does the company revolve around customer, or does it revolve around products, or if you can talk about other parameters?
That's for me, right?
That's for you, and then I'm changing.
Yes. Okay.
That it is not a monotonous kind of a thing.
Okay. So I mean, without the customer, you have no company, and then you have no products and no people. So that is, of course,
Beautifully put.
Yeah. So that there is no business today which can not be customer centric. You're there because somebody is interested to buy what you're making. Otherwise, you would not be in business. We look at customer centricity as a uh, as a you know. 360-degree thing. Like when you are saying customer centricity, literally the customer is in the center, and all the aspects, right from the way your products are formulated to the way they are packed to the way they are delivered, all the supply chain challenges, and then the overall direction at which the customer is going, how well they are aligned in that. So in terms of formulation, of course, color and any product or whatever ingredient and the final product is a lock and key, so that we make sure that it's perfectly fit. Even a pharmaceutical API, how it is going into the finished drug formulation, we are studying that also now. The logic is same as how a color is going into a paint. The exact same logic. It's a lock and key. It's like a long-term marriage. Then in terms of everything else, like packaging, the look and feel of the products, the systems that we put in place, like every batch is accompanied by a COA, which has specs that the customer has agreed on. The test methods are aligning between the customer's lab and our lab. Then even in terms of the deliveries, like different industries, the more and more you get into different geographies and different industries, different customers will have very different preferences on and ways of planning. There are some customers who will want material yesterday. There are some who will say, "Arey, abhi bhej do right now." There are some who will give you a beautiful quarterly forecast and will stick to it. There are some who will give you a beautiful quarterly forecast and not stick to it. So there have been that's been I mean, that's a challenge that we really put a lot of effort into getting good at. Like when we are saying customer centricity, nobody should be able to pinpoint a finger and say that, oh, hey, I trusted your promises, and now you failed me because I just didn't get what I expected and what I wanted on the time that I wanted. So that's we go out of our way to make sure that doesn't happen. And then all these things aside or beyond that, we try to align with the overall direction of the way customers are going. And like also Mir mentioned, that if sustainability is a direction that we ourselves believe in, and if our customers are going the same way, then there's nothing like it, and we don't mind incurring short-term costs for those compliances and things like that, because in the long term we are creating value for both jointly, and I mean that's going to contribute to sustainable growth for both the parties. So whether it is sustainability agendas of customers or overall directions of the customers, okay, are they focusing more on niche industrial grade products? Are they focusing more on consumer products for retail? What is their focus? What is it that they want? And how we can best do it for them? How can we work as an natural extension of them, where they think it's their own in-house I mean, they think of us as part of them only. So we go out of our way to ensure that, and we really try our best on that front.
Thank you, Jashan. Mihir, if you can talk about customer centricity and how would you rate for your company?
See, definitely, customer centricity is it's at the center of everything, I would say. Everything else revolves around the customer. If whatever new innovations that we take upon, or whatever new product line we get into, it's all because of a customer teaches us, or it's the need of the customer. Now, when the customer is in focus of every activity that you do, the other aspect which you mentioned about the product, right? Whenever the new product development or the new innovation you're doing on the product, and if the customer is at the apex of everything, he is going to, and when you have that kind of a relationship or customer service, he's going to be that open to that particular innovation. and when his needs are in mind, and the kind of products that are created based on the customer's requirements, then he'll be more eager, more work, more open to trying to adopt to those products. So definitely customer is center of everything. Doing that, there are a lot of advantages. Also, they will be open to trying your newer products, etc. Second thing, the dynamics of every customer is very different, as Jashan mentioned, that like I'm very active in the domestic market, so there is very few customers, they work with planning, as Jashan mentioned, that they give us an order today and they want material yesterday or they want tomorrow, but it doesn't happen, right? Even if smaller quantity or a bigger quantity, it doesn't. Like, we work with colors, so there is a process that you either go from light to dark or dark to light in a particular equipment or particular delivery or particular dispatch. You cannot give black and white together to a particular customer. So there are a lot of things that we understand which our customers don't, but that's fine. We don't expect the customer to understand also. It's just that keeping him in mind and the dynamics and the industry you are operating, you need to be that agile enough. Hello.
Mihir?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're audible.
We missed you for a few seconds.
No, I just explained that a customer is definitely at the center of everything, and depending on what kind of customer you are having, you need to be that agile enough to adapt to his requirements.
So now I come to the last part, which is making India Atmanirbhar. You all have been doing Atmanirbhar to a great extent. So are there any new plans for setting up new facilities, or are you trying to go for also doing the raw material backward or forward integration? So if you can talk about that, Mihir.
So see, I explained to you in the beginning of this conversation that in 1960s, we started by manufacturing the raw material for pigments, which are known as naphthals, right? From the pigments, we moved from the naphthals, we moved to manufacturing pigments. So that is a forward integration for us, right? So again, the idea was to be sustainable, having your own raw material and going forward with the pigments. Second, in terms of this Atmanirbhar or Make in India, you can say we have acquired the project has already commenced in terms of it's at the planning stage right now, where we are going further backward integrated, reducing further dependency from China, so that we have our own crude raw material from which we make our intermediate and from which we make our own pigments. So that is the idea, and the entire concept is to be extremely sustainable. And in my brief, you must have read that we want to create a completely integrated pigment complex where we want to absolutely buy only those things, raw materials which are not possible to make in India, and really expand our footprints into the raw material thing, because ultimately if you are very strong on in our industry, there are a lot of new players which are coming now. To have that value edge over the others, also it's the need of the survival or even for the growth, that backward integration is very important for us. So those are a few efforts that we have undertaken already. And even in our existing plant, as I also mentioned earlier, that we are focusing on high performance pigments. That is, again, we want to reduce the dependency from few Western companies who have predominantly dominated this industry since many years with their high performance pigments. So we are also going to launch very innovative products by next year. And again, we are also venturing into few spaces like cosmetics with our pigments, where earlier pigments were not very widely used for this particular segment, but now things are changing. People are also moving from the traditionally used dyes to pigments. Even for the textile industry, because of the pollution related issues in South or even in countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam, people are really focusing on using pigments. So innovation along with Make in India, along with being more Atmanirbhar or self-sustainable, as a company, we are trying to have this right mix of forward and backward integration so that ultimately it creates a value for our customers.
Mihir, Jashan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Mir put it beautifully together. So I won't go much deeper into what he said. It so perfectly well. As far as Saujanya is concerned, of course, like you asked, we are expanding capacities in India also, especially on the water-based front. There's a lot of capacity expansion that's already happening, and then there's some planned in the next 1 year or so. More on the sustainable products and the newer applications and things like that. So that's definitely happening, and definitely we'll be putting more and more capex into our own country in huger proportions to what we are putting outside. So that's something that we are committed to doing. And taking on what Mir said, that absolutely it is essential. Any kind of a local ecosystem, and he has put a beautiful vision of making an integrated pigment park. So that kind of vision is very, very beautiful, and absolutely it's the need of the hour. What having been in the pharma industry now since about a year or so, we realized that at a surface level, it's very easy to be Atmanirbhar. Like a lot of people in the pandemic, they said that, okay, all APIs are imported from China. Let us make APIs. So what they started doing is that they put up plants, or they had plants already, and they started making those APIs which are imported from China. But then the N-1, the one's intermediate, just the same. Basically, they were just converting they were importing the most advanced intermediate and just converting it in one simple step to the API. So how Atmanirbhar is that really? So when we started our innovation in the life sciences space, we said that, okay, maybe to start with, to put a foot in the door, that might be a good strategy. But we are not doing that also to start with. The only one product that we have commercialized. Also, we have a fully backward integrated process for the same. And like Mir absolutely mentioned, like for growth and sustainable growth, that's the only way that if you develop that ecosystem in-house, if you're saying that, okay, we want to reduce dependency on so and so a country and so global challenges, rather global supply chain challenges, then the only way is to have get your act together and have those capabilities to do them in-house also. And then whether you do them or not is a cost decision, maybe which needs to be evaluated at every given point of time, but that capability should definitely be there. And that's something that we've been focusing on for our life sciences venture since the last 1 year. That whatever products we develop, we will develop full backward integration capabilities right up to the key starting material. And then at what point we in-source and what point we outsource, that will be a completely strategic decision based on the financial, the pricing and supply chain situation at that particular point of time.
So when is your Mexico factory to be commissioned?
I'm going tomorrow to do that. So yeah, hopefully soon. I'll be there for the next 10-15 days.
So all the best.
Thank you so much.
And I would like to thank both these future leaders. I never thought that it would be 1 hour, 15 minutes of what we can say, talking to them and listening to them. It was really heartful to gain a lot of experience from you people, 7-8 years of experience, but you are doing wonders in the respective field that you are working.
Thank you so much. You're very kind, and it's been absolute delight for me, and I'm sure for us both to be here.
So it's really I took the Jashan's interview For the first time, he gave us an interview, and it was his first interview. And even for the summit, I think this is for the first time that Jashan is participating in the summit.
Yes.
Say a panel discussion of a sort. So many first two hits credit. I don't know about Mihir, but I think he would have also enjoyed this discussion. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jashan Bhumkar, Director, Saujanya Color Private Limited, and Mr. Mihir Shah, Director, Vipul Organics Limited, for a wonderful session. I hope our delegates would have enjoyed. And thank you once again.